Hi guys, and welcome to the fourth episode of Cabin Fever here at the Kamloops Museum and Archives. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Megan. I'm the museum educator here at the KMA. And just before we begin today, I would like to take a moment to acknowledge that we are on the traditional and unceded territory of the Secwepemc First Nation. Now, for today's craft, we're going to be making yarn-wrapped letters. So I've cut my letters out of cardboard. I encourage you guys to do the same. I found the consistency of cardboard that works best is about a cereal box. So maybe avoid those bigger, heavier cardboard boxes. They're hard to cut out, and you'll need more wool for wrapping. If you don't have any wool around the house, don't panic, don't run out and buy any, please, but just use what you have. Feel free to color these letters, decorate them with glitter glue or paint. Whatever you have around the house is totally fine. I'll be using yarn for ours. Now we are going to start today with a song. You probably know it. It's called Head and Shoulders, Knees and Toes. It's a bit of an active song, so I encourage you all to stand on up out of your seats and we'll get started together. So this one goes like this. Head and shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes. Head and shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes. Eyes and ears and mouth and nose. Head and shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes. How was that? Do you think we can do it one more time, but even faster? All right, here we go. Head and shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes. Head and shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes. Eyes and ears and mouth and nose. Head and shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes. Good job. You guys are superstars. All right, we're going to get started with our second song for the day. This one is called All of the Raindrops. So some of you guys might know it. If not, feel free to watch and learn. It goes like this. If all of the raindrops were lemon drops and gumdrops, oh, what a rain that would be. I'd stand outside with my mouth open wide, saying, ah, 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 ah. If all of the raindrops were lemon drops and gumdrops, oh, what a rain that would be. If all of the snowflakes were chocolate bars and milkshakes, oh, what a snow that would be. I'd stand outside with my mouth open wide, saying, ah, 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 ah. If all of the snowflakes were chocolate bars and milkshakes, oh, what a snow that would be. If all of the sunbeams were lemonade and ice cream, oh, what a sun that would be. I'd stand outside with my mouth open wide, saying, ah, 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 ah. If all of the sunbeams were lemonade and ice cream, oh, what a sun that would be. All right, so I think that's enough weather songs. We are going to move on to our story for today, which is probably familiar to most of you guys. This is Little Red Riding Hood. It is my own adaptation. So it goes like this. Once upon a time, there was a little girl, and she lived with her mother and her father in a small cottage on the edge of a big, dark forest. Now, one day, her mother made her the most beautiful cloak of the finest red fabric. And this little girl loved that cloak very much. She wore it all over town until eventually people began to call her Little Red Riding Hood. Now, one day, Little Red Riding Hood's mother asked her to take a basket of treats to her grandmother on the other side of the forest because her grandmother hadn't been feeling well. So Little Red Riding Hood took her basket of treats and she set off into the dark, dark forest. And her mother told her as she left the house, Little Red Riding Hood, you be very careful. Do not tarry on the path and do not talk to any strangers. So Little Red Riding Hood set off into the woods with her mother's words ringing in her ears. And by, she heard a growling, rustling sound in the bushes. And who should pop out but the big bad wolf? And the big bad wolf said to her, come with me, little girl, and I will show you beautiful flowers and fresh berries and all sorts of wonders here in the forest. But Little Red Riding Hood thought about what her mother had said to her, and she said, no way, wolf. And the wolf disappeared into the bushes. And Little Red Riding Hood kept walking, and by, she found herself alongside a beautiful field of flowers. And she looked and she thought, oh, Granny would love some fresh picked flowers. They are so beautiful. Surely if I just took 2 steps off the path, that would be okay. So she took 2 steps off the path and began to pick some flowers. But 2 steps became 4 steps, and 4 steps became 8 steps, and before she knew it, Little Red Riding Hood was lost in the forest. And it took her such a long time to find her way back to the path that by the time she got to her grandmother's house, it was getting dark. So she knocked on the door, and a voice came from inside, and the voice said, "Come in, Little Red Riding Hood." So Little Red Riding Hood went inside. And in the bed, curled up, she found her grandmother looking very strange. And Little Red Riding Hood said, "Why, Granny, what big ears you have." "All the better to hear you with, my dear," said her granny. "Why, Granny," said Little Red Riding Hood, "what big eyes you have." "All the better to see you with, my dear," said Granny. "Why, Granny," said Little Red Riding Hood, "what big teeth you have." "All the better to eat you with, my dear," cried Granny, and jumped up out of the bed. And it turned out it was not Granny at all, but the big bad wolf. And he gobbled Little Red Riding Hood up in one big gulp. Well, who should Little Red Riding Hood meet in that wolf's tummy but Granny? And Granny and Little Red Riding Hood began kicking at the wolf's stomach and calling, "Help, help," as loud as they could. And by, a friendly woodcutter who had been working out in the forest heard their cries. And he came into the house, and he used his axe, and he freed Granny and Little Red Riding Hood from that big bad wolf's tummy. Little Red Riding Hood and Granny were very grateful, and they became great friends with the woodcutter, and they all lived happily ever after. And that's the end. All right, now the next song we're going to do is called Slippery Fish. Some of you guys might already know it. It's by Charlotte Diamond, who is a Canadian singer-songwriter. She does a lot of great children's songs. If you haven't heard of her, I highly encourage you to check her out. I Am a Pizza is another crowd favorite at my house. So this one goes like this. You're gonna get your hands ready in your little slippery fish. So it goes like this. Slippery fish, swimming through the water. Slippery fish, gulp, gulp, gulp. Oh no, it's been eaten by an octopus, squiggling through the water. Octopus, gulp, gulp, gulp. Oh no, it's been eaten by a tuna fish, flashing through the water. Tuna fish, gulp, gulp, gulp. Oh no, it's been eaten by a great white shark, lurking in the water. Great white shark, gulp, gulp, gulp. Oh no, it's been eaten by a humongous whale, spouting in the water. Humongous whale, gulp, gulp, gulp. Burp. Pardon me. And that's the end of Slippery Fish. Now, we're going to move on to our craft today. So as I was mentioning at the beginning of this segment, we are going to be making some yarn wrapped letters. So you're going to want to cut out your child's favorite letter from a cereal box or some other cardboard you might have around the house. First letter of my name, of course, for Megan, also for Museum, but your child might have another favorite letter that they want to do. So once you have your letter ready, once again, you absolutely do not have to use yarn for this craft. I've done this one with paint, with glitter glue, just with felt pens, and they make really nice keepsakes to go, say, on your door or up on your wall in your room. But we're going to work with some yarn today. So you're going to choose one color to be your base color. And you're going to want to use a fairly thick yarn for this. I should have mentioned before, things like embroidery floss and string, you can use them, but it will be a lot of work to get it wrapped around enough times to sort of cover your letter. So I'm going to use this nice pink wool here, and I'm going to just take the beginning end here and I'm going to just unravel some. And I'm going to start at the bottom of my letter, and I'm going to loop it around and tie it off at the bottom. So for those of you who are helping out little ones, this is probably about where you'll be able to let them take things for themselves. So we'll loop that around the bottom, and then you're just going to start wrapping it around. Now for me, of course, I like to get mine so that it's nice and secure. You can see it's been tied in the back, starting to loop it around here in the front. So just round and round and round we go, working your way up the letter. Remember too that you are probably going to want to add some more colors and things over top of this. So it doesn't really matter too much how, if there are gaps in the yarn that you're using for your base color. So you'll want to avoid probably really large gaps, but it's totally up to you. And again, if your little one is having trouble with this or finding it frustrating, don't hesitate to just bust out some other craft supplies. Buttons work well on this if you have a hot glue gun, or even some white glue that you might be able to use. But basically anything that you can think of, you can put on these letters, and they'll turn out. So wrapping it around. Now, one of the reasons I'm not super fond of my M here is that it's got a lot of tricky corners, so it's really up to you. I did this entire side over here using just one piece of yarn and trying to wrap it around. I think it probably would have been a little bit easier to tie it off and to try doing it in separate pieces, but again, it's totally up to you. So just making sure it's nice and tight around the cardboard. And again, don't worry too much about those gaps in there. You can see I'm about halfway up my letter now. I'm going to be moving on to the top portion of my M here pretty soon. So for letters that are a little bit tricky, maybe they have some places where you're finding you're getting gaps trying to use a single piece of string or yarn, do feel free again to tie it off and just start again with a fresh piece of yarn or string. It's not really going to matter in the end because this pattern won't really show through when you've added on the colored pieces of yarn as you're finished. So I'm just about done here. Wrapping it around, trying as best I can to make sure that there's not a lot of gaps in it, but not worrying too much about them either. You can probably guess I've got some gaps happening right here, right where that the crease of the letter is. So I'm going to just try and fill those in a little bit. Also, if you find you're getting big gaps and your little one's not patient enough, or you don't feel like you want to wrap the yarn around all those many times, feel free just to fill it in with a button, or even some glitter glue will work as well. Now, as far as tying it off goes, I'm going to take mine, now that I've wrapped it all the way up to the top, I'm going to just take an extra long piece of string, I'm going to cut it off here, and I'm just going to wrap it around the top with my thumb underneath. So I'm wrapping around, my thumb is underneath, so that I'm going to have some space to tie it off. So then I'm just a simple loop, same as starting to tie my shoes. I'm going to just loop it off and loop it off again a second time. And that usually seems to work just fine. Keep in mind too that as you do add more colors to your yarn, they will help to support one another. So don't worry too much about if you're having trouble with the knot. It should be a-okay. Okay, so I've tied off that purple one. I'm gonna go ahead and just do the exact same thing. So I'm just gonna wrap it around. It's up to you whether you wanna try to create like maybe a stripy pattern with equal space between, or just go crazy, wrap it any way you'd like. Generally, I did find the easiest way to do this was to wrap it the same way that I had wrapped the yarn before it. but it's totally up to you. You can come back up to the top and wrap down and around. It really doesn't matter. These are pretty creative and easy expression projects. So again, to tie it off, same thing. I'm gonna cut just a bit of a lengthy piece here, and I'm gonna wrap it around so that my thumb is underneath so that there will be space to tie it off. So then I'm gonna tie it off once, and then I'm gonna tie it off a second time, just to be sure it's really on there. So again, these letters make nice keepsakes. They look great on a wall or a door frame. Anything that might really say that, you know, this room or this space belongs to your child. So just like that, and you can add as many or as few colors as you want. You can dress it up, dress it down. It's totally up to you. So those are our yarn wrapped letters for today. Now we are going to finish with one of my favorite children's songs. Some of you guys probably already know this, but a lot of the songs that we sing to our kids that have been passed down from our own parents are historic songs. So we're going to sing You Are My Sunshine, which came out in 1939, and it was a campaign song actually for a politician down in the United States. For many years he was best known for that, and it was also a song about soldiers going off to war during the Second World War. So I'm going to give it a sing for you, and hopefully you'll enjoy. So, you are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away. The other night, dear, as I lay sleeping, I dreamt I held you in my arms. When I awoke, dear, I was mistaken. So I hung my head and I cried. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining me for our 4th episode of Cabin Fever, and hopefully we'll see you again soon. Bye for now.